Computer. Okay, great. We are recording. So I'm excited. I'm doing this. This is my first time. And of course, my good longtime friend, I ask her anything, she jumps right in and say, all right, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So background, I saw this post about STEM bingo. And a few of the squares were saying, have you been the only Black student in the classroom? Do people think when you go to college you're here on affirmative action? Or when you tell people what you major in, do they give you the puzzled look? And I said, are we still having these experiences? And I wondered why we are still having the issue with Black and brown children going into the STEM profession. So I wanted to ask STEM professionals their opinion. My background, I consider myself a STEM background, major in mathematics education, started as an engineer. We both dropped out and was like, nope.
Not for me.
But all through high school, we had that training. We got into it when we went to college. And it wasn't the fact that we could not do it. It was just, wait, do we really want to sit here and program for the rest of our lives? So I like to say that because it's not like we dropped out like it was hard. That wasn't the case. It was just, I don't want to do this.
Sitting behind a desk was not for me.
And just figuring out, like, I got to find where a comma goes.
No.
But then I realized,
I hate computers.
Right, like that. And then I realized, like, it wasn't so much, had someone told me about the skills that were transferable or whatever, I would have stayed and pushed through engineering, knowing that there was another side. When we were going to school, people were like, this is the job you have to have if you're going to major in engineering. But no one told us about the other possibilities. So this is Miss Nicole Walters, and you're going to give you your background. And I have a few questions I'm going to ask you. So first question, what is your academic background?
Well, as you mentioned, we both went to University of South Florida together. So I went to University of South Florida, majoring in computer engineering, as you mentioned, because we was in the engineering, math, and technology magnet program in high school. And it was this big push, you know, women are underrepresented, African American underrepresented, you gotta go represent the people. So I'm gonna go major in engineering. And I went and I just picked a random engineering, not even thinking about like what my passion was or what type of engineering. It was just like computer engineering, go for it. So yeah, as you mentioned, I went there and realized that it wasn't for me. Programming was not for me. I slept in them classes, but I did realize like the math classes, I loved them. Was up, excelled in the math classes. Physics, hated it. So, and I was gonna major in computer engineering and then minor in mathematics. So, but then I realized that, or even somebody mentioning it was like when you help, I was always helping people with their math. Mm-hmm. Even in high school, when it came to math, people were, trying to copy our work or we're doing a little tutoring because we was good at it. And then in college, like I was always leading the study groups with math. It just came easy. So, and I remember I was helping somebody and it was like, you realize you light up like when you're helping me with math. And I was like, really? They was like, oh my gosh, you get this whole new tone to you. So in that second year, when that professor told us that by the end of this class, you would know.
It was her second year. It was my first year.
Yes, It was my second year. That man, it was intro to engineering.
Yep.
No, or engineering fundamentals, something like that. And that man said, by the end of this class, you would know whether or not you want to be in engineering.
Yep.
Outside in that parking lot trying to figure out how to make that robot. And I knew halfway through, this was not for me. So I changed my major to what, of course, I was passionate about, which was educating people in math, in math education. So I switched over. I've been teaching for 13 years, I think.
Only 13?
You lose count after a while, I feel like. No, it's going to be 15 years. Oh, Lord, it's been 15 years. So I've been teaching mathematics, high school math, for 15 years, and I am now mathematics department head.
List out some of those courses, because when people think high school math, I don't think they realize the level. Like,
first of all, Calculus 3 was our prerequisites.
Thank you. Tell them.
Calculus 3 was our prerequisite
Yep.
for all our math courses. I mean, I still have all my math books, and I look at them now, and I mean, right now, it looks a little gibberish, but it does look right now. But like all the math courses we took were so high, like we almost majored. We was only a couple of classes short from majoring in math. Actually, I got my minor in math.
We do. It's 2 degrees on there. We
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yep. So, yeah, I took more math classes, or either it was equal math classes with education courses.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is that I actually got higher grades in my math classes than I did in my education courses. But it was good grades though. So yeah, our math, you know, and when people do think like, oh, you teach high school math, and then you gotta look at our background. Like we have a math background with a few education courses. That's all it is. It is. And then when you get into the certification, like I'm high school math. So even my certification test, you know, I'm certified in mathematics 6 through 12, which means I can teach from middle school all the way to high school. You know, we had to take this math test from basic math all the way to calculus, because in high school they can go up to calculus, and with no formula sheet was given to you, you know, a basic calculator.
Calculators at the time.
I think we could. So we was a little different. Now it's different. We can have a calculator, but it had to be scientific, because I never forget. And when I'm teaching now, I even tell my students, like, I don't teach using a graphing calculator. Even if we're doing graphing, I'm going to teach you how to do it by hand, because when I went off to USF in our math courses, they was like, you can't use that graphing calculator.
Yeah, I remember.
The highest you can use is a scientific. So I was doing calculus and all that on, you know, which is the basic scientific calculator. Mm-hmm. So I still teach that way. So yeah, our background in math is extensive, and I still now make sure that I brush up on the math that I need to know, even to teach the higher level courses, because I teach mostly 11th and 12th graders. So I'm teaching the trig and the pre-calculus courses. So it's all embedded in.
She's smart, y'all. She's smart. Okay, so what are your thoughts about STEM degrees? I'm on this push, like I think everyone should major in STEM, but not for the reason why people think, not so much STEM degrees, but I just want to hear, not to get STEM jobs per se, but I just want to hear your thoughts. Like, what are your thoughts about STEM degrees?
I think, I'm not going to say that I think everybody should like major in STEM, like that should be your major, but I do believe everybody should at least have some type of a minor almost, or take a certain amount of STEM classes.
Why?
Because STEM teaches you how to think logically. It teaches you how to think about all the intricate parts that come together and how they come together. I just feel like it teaches you how to think, and it makes you not afraid of things. Even in my profession now, yeah, I teach math, but I'm not afraid of a challenge. And a lot of people don't want to do the STEM because they think it's hard, but it takes away that fear to me. Teaches you how to think logically, teaches you how to do big puzzles, look at the big picture to come down to the small picture. Or what is that? That's a math, inductive reasoning. Yes, I'm like, what's the math word for that? Inductive reasoning. Yes, we teach the kids that, the pyramid in. Yes, so you see the big picture, you come down, think logically, put the puzzle together. It helps you it teaches you resilience, to be honest. Because people kind of run from the STEM courses because in their mind it's not easy, it doesn't come naturally. But when you major or you take those classes, it teaches you how to have that patience, that resilience, and I can't think of the word right now, delayed gratification. There you go. It teaches you all of that thing. And these are skills that people need to know. And it teaches you to research. Because a lot of that I didn't know. I had to research, and it teaches you research and find other resources outside of that. Because if you didn't know, we're taking these STEM, it just with math. Think about it. If I didn't know how to do nothing, I had to first find a professor, and we was there office hours. So it makes you being okay to asking for help. And I'm not one to like to ask for help. No. I'm that quiet kid in the back. But you learn to ask for help, and then create your study groups, and find somebody who knows how to do what you need to learn how to do, and work with them. So it teaches you, it teaches you all that, because you had no choice but to do it to survive those courses. Exactly. So that's why I think, I wouldn't say they have to major, but I do think at least minor or take a certain number of STEM classes just to get that logical thinking and get comfortable with doing it.
Good point. Now, why do you think, why do you think there's a limited number of children of color or Black students, or the global majority? People call us the global majority because it's a lot more Black and brown people in the world. But why don't we have a lot of students of color in the STEM pipeline, not even going off to major in STEM, but just in the pipeline, like especially from middle school to high school? Yeah, and when I say that, I mean like taking those upper level science and math courses and things like that.
Well, I'm gonna take two parts. I think, well, one major thing is because there's this perception that it's hard. And, and I hate to group us together, but I could just tell you from what I've seen with working with adults and working with kids, it's like people tend to not do what is perceived as hard. This is too hard. They come in high school, we run into the problem. They come in, the door hitting, I can't do it. They've been told, I can't do math, I'm not good at math. So since they feel like they can't do it or that it's hard, they don't want to do it. So that's why I think a lot of us, like, we tend to go towards those, even, and I know you're talking about like high school or middle school to high school, but even after high school, a lot of us tend to go in those public service, even though teachers are public service. We tend to go to those public service jobs, the jobs where you have to care for someone, the nurses and the social workers, like, and or even if you do some core, it might be like English, but something to where you gotta care for. And I don't know if that's just ancestry that's coming down the line because we've been caring for people.
Oh wow,
we were shipped here. But that's what we tend to do. And then for me, with the from middle school to high school, for my biggest, and I think our biggest hurdle, especially with children, is their parents. And I know for all my parents, I think you're like, oh my gosh. But just think about it. They constantly hear, my mama can't do it. My mama not good at math. Everybody in the family is saying I love this subject, but I hated math. I hated math. I hated math. I hated math. I can't do math. You're not good at math. So these kids grow up hearing that. And I even fuss at, well, not fuss at, but like even with my teachers who teach other subjects, I'm always telling them, stop saying that around the kids. Stop saying, oh, I teach this. I'm not good at math. Just ask a math teacher. Like, that's all they hear. You don't rarely hear them say, I'm not good at English. You don't hear people say that. You hear people say, oh, I love to write. I love to read. Oh, I love science because of the labs. Not science because of the lessons they learned in science. It's because of the labs. And I get it. It's the hands-on. But because they hear it so much, they get embedded into them. So they put that off. They come in with the attitude, I'm not good at math. My family's never been good at math. My mama not good at math. Miss, I can't do this. And it's like, I just said, hey.
So you work with those students like every day. And I know that it's a challenge, but do you have any like success stories of students who came in with that preconceived notion to, by the end of the course, they may not have been mathematicians, but have you seen any, like, something, a spark, or, it's not so bad?
Right. Here's what I would say with teaching, especially a STEM subject. So the science, the math, the robotics and all that, even with your arts, because if a kid's not really into art, it can still be a struggle for them. I truly do believe it is the relationships that you build with your students. So I already know the kids are coming in. I got the older kids. So they've been for 11 years, 10 years of their life with the whole, I'm not good at math.
Right.
Okay. So you're coming through the door. Like I said, I can't do this. But by the end of the class, like majority of my kids, they love my class. And then I even have some students who, behavior-wise, I don't have an issue with my class. I mean, they have no interest in math, but I have no interest. I have no behavior issues with them. They can skip. I have some teachers come to me like, such and such skip my class. Well, such and such comes to my class every day. Like,
right. Your math class.
every day. And they come in and they work. But it's more of the relationship building that I have with them, because I try to instill into my kids that even though this may not be your favorite subject, we all got our favorite subjects,
right?
But you will love to come to this class, and you have to. And I build up that family atmosphere, and they love to come in because I use kind of like humor. Like my personality is just, it is what it is. I'm a big goofball when it comes down to it. So math can be dry. It can be because it's a process.
Exactly.
Also, I missed that earlier with the question about majoring in STEM or, minoring in STEM. It teaches you how to take a process. Everything has a process to it. And it teaches you how to learn and develop and find those processes, even if it's not there. You can
Right.
discover the process and
The
follow
unknown.
it.
Yep.
Right. So with the kids, like I said, math can be dry. So it's just here it is. Follow the steps. Let's do. But if I can make you joke, if I can make you laugh and make you enjoy coming, you got to put on a show. It's a show. It's exhausting. I have to put on a show every day. But I will say I do have those successes in my math class. I'm not having my kids. And I can't say it's not 100% because you still have some who they don't have that motivation. They have outside sources. They have other things to worry about. But I do have those successes. I have kids who would tell me, Miss, I hated math class, but I love coming to your class.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they might not saying they love math, but they love coming to my class, which is a math class. And I teach, like I said, 11th and 12th graders. And one of the classes I teach is higher than Algebra 2. So it's right in between Algebra 2 and trigonometry.
Right.
The math is not that easy. I have one of my simple success stories this year. I have a student, I have her for my advanced topics class, which is the higher than Algebra 2. In between Algebra 2 and trigonometry. So she needed another elective. The girl went to her guidance counselor and requested to have my other math course that I teach as her elective. Not even as her math credit, just as her elective.
Wow.
And she's not strong in math. She was like, Miss, but I like your class and you break it down. So you have to
break it down. Like what? What does she mean by you break it down?
Well, for me, we all face with teaching us, we have this curriculum to cover in a short amount of time.
Yes.
But you have to be creative with building on what they already know. So I like to start off with what they already know and make them feel like they can do it. So they got to have those small successes, those small victories.
Yeah.
So if we start off the chapter and then that first lesson, I always get them. I think they kind of figured out my pattern though. Eventually they kind of run up. They was like, oh my gosh, Miss, this is easy. This is easy. That's all Miss, this is easy. I know, and I always say, so now I'm gonna add just a little bit to it. Okay, they got that process. Add a little bit more to it. Got the process until we get the big final end, and it's like they done this big long problem because I broke down that process for them. So she's like, so some people with education and with teaching, there's an art to it. Okay. It is. Some people, and I even run with that as like department head. Like I have some people know math, but they don't know how to teach math.
Exactly.
That's a different thing, So if you have that art to how to break it down and build and actually truly scaffold and build on them steps forward, it's all easy for the kids. And then I know we have proper math language, but sometimes you just kind of break it out in layman's terms. Like, okay, this is the fancy.
I get it. As long as they go back to the real.
Yes, I do. We interchange between the layman term for it and then the term for it. But breaking it down and using that language that they know how to express. And I like to do a lot of having the kids take the ownership. So letting them teach it. Yes. Letting them flipping it around, say you teach me, and then or you teach another student. Good. You create something and then teach it and flip it around. So but that's what she mean about, Miss, you break it out, you make it real easy. I make them feel successful, because if they can feel like they have successes, they'll do anything for you.
Awesome. 2 more things. What advice would you, I'm gonna give you both at the same time. What advice would you give to parents or guardians regarding about supporting their students just going through the pipeline? And then what advice would you give to teachers or school leaders, educators, to help support more students going through the pipeline?
My advice to parents is, well, of course, to always be mindful of what you say around your children, because they take everything you say literally. Even if your student or child comes to you with something that seems difficult to them, don't brush it off. Help them. And even with me, I might not all math I can remember how to do, because math truly is a form of art that if you don't use it, you lose it. You lose it. Some of that I have lost. And, I try to go back and
get back into my daily practice of you do. It's like a language. You have to practice it.
You have to practice it. So even if the kids come to me with something I don't know how to do, and again, the same advice for parents, there's so much resources out there now. Like, don't just shoo them away. And I wasn't good at it.
Right.
because the kid is already feeling defeated, and now they feel even more defeated because the one person that I should be able to come to help me out is like, I can't do it. You figure it out. When obviously they don't know how to figure it out. So my advice is to be open to it. If your child has that desire, and I can say probably for you and me both, like we had a desire to take the harder courses.
Right.
But I had, even though, my grandmother raised me, even though she only had a 7th grade education, she pushed me. And I never forget the reason I can't really say the reason I went into stuff. I love, math, but I never forget, she said, don't do what's easy.
Wow.
You need to do what challenges you, because it's always going to forever change you for the better.
Ooh,
I picked up math because I love the challenge. I love that I got stuck, but I overcame it. So if your child wants to go into that route of STEM or STEAM, whichever route it may be, push them to do it, even if it makes you uncomfortable. But be there and provide them with the resources, and the resources are free. You just got to look it up.
Right.
Like I said, and don't put your, and it might sound mean, but don't put your insecurities. Because you're not uncomfortable, you're insecure about it. Push your child to fill that void. Because like I said, my grandma pushed me till she couldn't do it, but she was like, you're going to do it. So, and I'm going to be that support to make sure that you know how to do it. And then learn with them. Heck, or pretend to learn with them. So that's my advice for parents. Push your child, support them, whichever route they may want to take. It will be difficult. There is times where it will be difficult.
Sure.
There is times, like, I'm sure you had them when I was in college. I know I called my grandma crying.
Right. Oh my God.
I can't get it.
They're going to fail me.
Oh my gosh, I can't get it. Oh, especially when we was doing computer coding and my code did not work. I never forget that class. I had to build that bridge, and that bridge kept collapsing, Lord.
Yep. That comma, doggone comma.
But she had a support. She didn't know what I was talking about.
Right.
At all. But, you can do it. You can do it. No, I can't, but be that support, be that push. And the main thing for me is just be mindful of what you say to your kids, because they take that and run with it and always fall. Because I hear it all the time. My mama say she don't know that math. My mama can't do it, but you can. So that's for my advice for parents. What was that one? For teachers who teach in STEM? That's
or educators. Yeah, educators, teachers, leaders.
Mm-hmm. With the kids at the pipeline. It's kind of the same thing. I truly, it irks me. It irks me nicely.
It's about to come out.
It was. When some of my coworkers do the same thing some of these parents do and be like, it's math, I don't know how to do that. Yeah. You can do like I do when the kids come to me with other subjects. Let's research this together.
Right.
Provide them with the resources because they know, talk them through it. So same thing goes for educators. We can't just be complacent and comfortable in what we are. And when a kid comes seeking help for something else, don't want to help them because, again, we're uncomfortable with it. So that's one. 2, push the kids. They can do it. If they have the support outside of school to do it, because it will be kind of hard if they don't have that support. I have some of my kids who are like halfway through other courses. I just want to switch to an easier course. Why? Because it's hard. But have you tried this? Have you tried that? No. And then, they'll go to guidance. They'll go administration. And it's like, okay, well, just because you don't want to hear them or deal with it, you just switch them out. No, push these kids because they can do it. It's just that effort to do it.
That perseverance, that's lacking. Yeah.
Correct. That perseverance, that resilience, all that is lacking because you have to keep at it. So as far as leaders and educators, if you have a kid who you kind of know, you identify, you have those, who are strong in STEM. And I hate when people be like, oh, it's because I'm good at it. It comes naturally. Nothing really comes naturally. You have to work.
Cultivate it. That's true. That's
right. True. So just because we work a little harder with math, like I have to work hard at English. I hate writing. I have to work hard at English. I don't like to write. I don't.
I read slow. I can't read.
Right. Like me and writing. And then, I think with math people, I always tell people we're very logical. Like I'm straight to the point. I'm going to tell you what I need to tell you in the first paragraph. What more you want to know. But either way, so support our children, make them believe or encourage them to be better. And then a lot of our kids, especially our brown kids, they tend to follow behind what their friends are doing.
Yeah.
And then, I do have a lot of my students who don't want others to see that they're intelligent. And I don't even like the word, because all our kids are intelligent. They're just intelligent.
Or using their intelligence or putting their intelligence
Correct.
on display. Yeah.
Correct. Or using their intelligence in class versus their skills and this outside, things. So, encouraging that it's okay. And that's why I think I wish we had more brown STEM teachers because, when my kids walk in, they're thinking, oh, I'm taking pre-calculus, and they say, oh, my teacher got natural hair and she looked like me. It's like, oh, I can do this. Yes, you can, because I did it. And I have a similar background. Sometimes I tell my kids about my background. Like, I grew up in the projects. Grandma raised me, single parent, and I made it through. I persevered through, because this was my way out. So, even as department head, I tend to look for, because I work at an urban school, however you want to take that as, I work at an urban school. So I would like for my department to reflect our children. And it's even kind of hard with our educators, and I don't know what we can do to push right now for our educators to, even with certifications, like I'm certified 6 through 12.
I still have mine
5 through 9. Right.
I'm still, because I'm not
6 through 12.
Not taking it over. But go ahead.
And we have that 5 through 9 certification, and I'm even running into the problem that majority of my teachers are only 5 through 9 because they're afraid even to take the harder test. But if you study for it, and there's resources out there to prepare, you just have to take the time to prepare, and people are comfortable with it. So for our leaders in our school, one biggest thing, make sure your faculty reflects your students. And again, just push them, encourage them. Don't let them give up.
I like that part. I think that's everyone's like dropping the ball and staying in the comfort zone. Like I had to, and before I let you go, my story was when I went to Singapore, and I was like, well, I'm just in math. Just do math, because everything else, like whatever, who cares? But then the guy from Singapore, when I met with him, he was like, well, truth be told, if you're an educator, you should know all subjects because you went to school at least 12, 13 years. So you should be an expert in all of the content. And I was like, oh, dang. And that made me realize, you know what, let me go back and look at some more into literature and history and things like that, because he's true, as we get so siloed sometimes, and we have to push ourselves. We're going to be educators. We got to be true educators, because like you said, sometimes that math gets dry, and I got to be able to pull from some other resources to make it interesting. But if my well is dry with knowledge, then I can't push my students. So I think you're right. Like we get comfortable as educators sometimes staying in our silo. So yeah, don't get comfortable. Don't get lazy. Get pushed. Like we want to push our kids, but educators got to be pushed as well. Correct. So yeah, refreshing. Not only refreshing in this math, but refreshing in this other
stuff.
There's other stuff, because yeah, we're preparing students. Like I said, like I'm still gonna hold. Everybody should major in STEM, so that's why I like different opinions. But it's not so much, you need to go be an engineer, but all the stuff that comes with it, and you have to be truly a well-rounded person. This was fascinating. I'm gonna have to bring you back to talk about, like, I don't even know what this is. But anyway, I'm gonna have to bring you back on something to really start talking about preparing educators, especially for our Black and Brown students, or our students who, and I know we focus on Black and Brown because we're Black and Brown, but our students who don't get support regardless of how they look. So, and what teachers can truly do, especially now that we're digital, or we don't know how long we'll be digital. What does that look like? It's still trying to prepare for this pipeline. Guess you'll have to come back, Miss Walters.
Most definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining me and being my first participant. You're always down for the cause. I am so excited because when I blow up, we blow up.
I remember this video.
All right, so I'm going to end it right here. So thank you all. Nicole, you don't go anywhere. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you soon.